In the next part of the finishing series, we'll look at some additional finishing elements. We'll look at the finishing of the floors, wood floors, tile, trim around windows and doors, as well as bathroom fixtures and interior lighting fixtures, and we'll take it all the way up to the completion of the interior. So in this part, we'll look specifically at tile, the bathrooms, cabinetry installed in kitchens and bathrooms, lighting fixtures and bathroom fixtures, all the flooring, window and door trim, as well as the finished electrical and plumbing. In these pictures, we can see the subfloor is ready to receive the tiles. This is the entranceway to the house, this is the mudroom, and over on the right, this is the master bathroom. One of the things that's difficult to see in these photographs is that whenever there's tile being laid on a subfloor, additional strength has to be added to the floor. In this case, we've got additional layers of plywood laid at right angles to the original layers, so this is a double thick layer of plywood, and the purpose of that is to make the floor stronger to avoid deflection from people walking across the floor. In a tile floor, that deflection can cause the grout to crack or the tiles to crack. So additional layer of plywood is used here to give the floor some extra strength. In some applications, instead of a second sheet of plywood, you might see cement board laid, or in older houses you might see a layer of wire mesh embedded in some concrete. And either, regardless of the application, the purpose is to make the floor under any tile floor stronger to avoid damaging the tiles. In these pictures, we can see the tile has arrived and is ready to be laid. Some of the larger format tiles are used in the bathroom and the larger floor areas, and there's some smaller format tiles for the bathroom floors, as well as some other accent tile that's ready to be installed. In these pictures, we can see some of the floor tile has been laid. This is the entryway in the master bathroom again. The tiles here have been laid in an offset pattern, so the grout joints don't line up, and these floors haven't yet been grouted. You can also notice that cutouts have been made for bathroom fixtures, water lines, as well as heat vents. In these pictures, we can see more of the tile work has been done. In the picture on the left, the tiles have been laid, as well as the grouting has been completed as well. You can see some of the haze left over from the application of the grout. That'll be wiped off a little bit later. And of course, you can see a note from the tile setter not to walk on his carefully laid floors. In the picture on the right, you can see some corner bead. And corner bead is used in tile work to transition around corners or to transition from one kind of material to the other. The perforated part of the corner bead would be set into the mortar and the tile would be laid on top, and it would leave just a very thin metal edge, kind of a nice dressed edge. If you look carefully in the picture on the left, you can see that dressed edge right along here. In this case, it's to transition from tile to the wood floor over on this side. Corner bead was also used, if you recall, in drywall work to transition around corners as well. This is a different type of corner bead, again used for tile work. In this slide, we can see some pictures of the master bathroom in preparation for the tile to be laid in the shower area. This is a cement backer board that's been applied. These are all the same pictures. The cement backer board is used to support the tile and is used because it won't absorb water and it won't support mold growth. You might see in older houses or in less quality work where regular drywall has been used to support the tiles, and that might work fine for the first few months or years, but as long as or as soon as water gets behind the tile and absorbs into the drywall, the tiles will start to come loose. So much better material is to use cement board, and there are other kinds of man-made materials used as well, but cement board is pretty common. In the base of the shower, you can see that a dry pack concrete base has been laid. And again, this is just to provide a really rigid, strong base for the tile, so the tile won't crack. You can see the same picture over here on the right. That's this tile, the concrete rather, has cured a little bit more. So this is almost ready for tile. In this slide, we can see some of the tile work in the bathroom nearing completion. Larger format tiles are on the wall, as well as some of the trim tiles. We've got some smaller format tiles been applied to the floor of the shower. And these tiles are typically smaller format for bathroom floors because the floor of a bathroom, or a shower rather, is sloped toward the drain, so the smaller format tiles can follow the contour of that slope better. In the pictures on the right, you can see some framing that's been temporarily applied, and that's just there to hold the tiles to the ceiling while it cures, and that'll be removed probably the next day. And this is another picture of the same master bathroom. The shower we just saw is over here on the left. We can see the tile work is continued, framed in and tiled for a drop-in bathtub. Accent tiles are all installed as well. And if you look carefully, you can see some of these spacers that are used, and they're also in red over here. And the spacers are just used for the tile work to make sure that the grout joints are nice and uniform. So this bathroom is nearing completion and ready for grout. If we move back out to the main part of the house, we can see that some of the hardwood flooring is being installed. The picture on the left, this is how the hardwood floor arrives. It's typically brought into the house several days before the installation so the wood can get used to the humidity and temperature level in the house. So it has to acclimatize a little bit. When it's applied, it's typically applied over the subfloor, and they use a building paper often between the subfloor and the wood floor. And this has a few functions. It helps with the installation a little bit. It can also help with some air and moisture movement. And the picture on the right, this is the dining room, and we can see that the hardwood floor has begun to be laid. There's this subfloor over here. The building paper has been applied, and then the wood floor itself. Here we can see more of the hardwood floor being installed. This is the kitchen area over here. This hardwood floor is being installed with staples. So it's got a staple gun here and an air compressor to power it. And the staples are applied to the edge of each piece of hardwood. This hardwood has a tongue and groove edge. So the staple is applied to the tongue on the edge of one piece of hardwood and then is covered by the groove of the next piece of hardwood. So that allows for a nice clean installation, and you can't see any of the fasteners. And here's one final picture of the installation of the hardwood floor. In this picture on the right, you can see the hardwood floor is laid through the kitchen, dining, living room areas, and it's typically laid in the direction of the longest dimension of the room. So the dimension of this room is longest in this direction, so the hardwood floor is laid in this direction. You wouldn't typically see it laid sort of crossways like this. And there's no hard and fast rule about that, but that's typically how it's done, and that's simply for aesthetic reasons. If we switch over to some of the finishing of the interior doors and trim, we can see that all the doors and the interior doors and the trim work have been moved to the basement. And they're set out this way simply to make it easier for the painter to paint all the doors and trim at once, and the carpenters will install it later on. Here we can see some of the installation of the door itself. You can see the door jamb. Door jambs are the structural pieces that make up the sides on this side as well as the top. And those are the structural pieces that support the door itself. Those have been installed, as well as, of course, the trim has been installed. And the picture on the right, you can see a completed door. In this diagram, you can get a better idea of what the door jamb looks like, the vertical pieces as well as the head or the horizontal piece across the top, and some of the installation techniques where the door would be shimmed to make sure it's absolutely plumb so it swings perfectly. And once the doors and floors are installed, all the remaining trim work can be done, the trim that follows around all of the doors, as well as the baseboards that go around all the perimeters of the rooms. Other finish work will include the installation of the cold air return vent covers, as well as the floor registers and doorstops. If we move on to the electrical finishing, we can see some of those components here. On the left, we can see a checklist the electrician uses to make sure all of the right receptacles are in all the right locations, as well as a box of his supplies. These pictures we can see junction box, and it looks like a mess to us, but the electrician will make some sense of this and eventually will wire or connect the right switches to the right wires and ultimately install the cover plates for a nice finished look. And this picture here is in the master bedroom, and it is a power outlet, and this is also an outlet for media hookup. So this would be for speakers or for some kind of AV connection. And those are low voltage connections, so those don't have to have the same type of plastic or metal boxes that we see in connections where you're using full line voltage. And of course, some of the other finishing touches that we're familiar with would be the installation of the thermostat to run the heating and cooling system in the house, as well as the controls to run the ventilation system. And some of the remaining finishing touches to the electrical system will be the installation of the light fixtures. And these light fixtures are installed, in this case here, in the entryway, and these are installed in the bedrooms. If we move on to some of the millwork finishing, here we can see diagrams of some of the millwork or cabinetry that's being installed in the bathrooms. And having the diagrams, of course, is useful to make sure that the right cabinets arrived at the right house, they are what the customer ordered, and are also installed in the right locations. And here we can see the installation of one of those bathroom cabinets. It looks like it's correct and installed in the right location. We can see the toilet flange over in this location, and that'll be, of course, covered up by the toilet in a later installation. And here we can see a close-up of the interior of the installation of that cabinet. We can see that cutouts have been made in the back of the cabinet for the hot and cold water supply, as well as for the drain line. You also notice you can see a cap on the drain line, and that cap is just placed there temporarily to prevent any sewer gases from escaping into the interior of the house, and that's before the final plumbing connections would be made. In this slide, we can see some of the additional bathroom finishings. The bathtub itself has been dropped in, the plumbing fixtures have been roughed in, and they're ready for finishing. On the right, we can see a picture of the ventilation fan for the shower. This fan housing is located just adjacent to the shower. There'll eventually be the fan motor, and the fan itself will be installed. And the picture in the bottom, we can see a fixture in the shower. This is the light fixture in the shower. And whenever a light fixture is in a wet area, it has to have a special rating for wet areas, and this fixture has that rating. In these pictures of the shower stall, we can see that the shower control valve still needs to be installed, as well as the shower itself. In the picture on the right, we can see some more of the finishing details, the tile work and the trim tile, as well as the installation of some corner shelves. And here we can finally see the completed shower. You can see all the fixtures have been installed in the shower itself, as well as the fixtures on the drop-in bathtub. The countertops, sinks have been installed, bathroom fixtures, as well as the light fixtures. So this bathroom is just about complete and ready for the new homeowner. And if we move over to the other bathroom, we can see it's completed as well. All the fixtures, the sinks, countertops, cover plates for electrical fixtures, light fixtures, everything's been installed, and this bathroom is completed as well. If we switch over to the kitchen and alcove area, we can see some of the plans that have been developed for those areas. You can see in the top left, we can see a picture of the plans themselves for the kitchen, as well as some perspective drawings for the kitchen over here, and as well as in the bottom, and then a picture for the cabinetry and all the remaining millwork for the alcove area. And we'll see those in installation next. In the kitchen, before the cabinets are installed, the floors have been installed and the walls have been painted. And we can see some pictures here of the cabinetry beginning to be installed. One of the tricks that the cabinet installers will use is they'll use a laser level. And a laser level is just a device that sits on this pole, and it can be raised or lowered to any height. And it just shoots a laser line right around the room. You can see it in this picture and also in this picture over here. And what that does is it allows the cabinet installers to install the cabinets absolutely level. So they'll be flush and level. And that's important so they all fit together nice and tightly. But also when the countertop is installed, it has to sit on an absolutely flat and level surface, and the laser level helps the cabinet installers achieve that. Here we can see that the cabinets have been installed, and some of the doors as well have been installed onto the cabinets, and they're all perfectly flat, level, and plumb. You can also see in the ceiling some of the cutouts for the pot lights and different pendant fixtures that'll be located in the kitchen. And above the upper cabinets, we can see some of the wiring for the low voltage lighting that'll be located above the cabinets. So this kitchen is just about ready for the remainder of the doors to be installed and to be measured for countertops. Here we can see the kitchen lighting fixtures have been installed. The pot lights have been installed, as well as some of the pendant fixtures above the countertop, as well as a central lighting fixture. So all the lighting fixtures have been installed in the kitchen. The next remaining feature will be the kitchen countertops. And finally, here are some pictures of the completed kitchen. The appliances have been installed, as well as the granite countertops, and it looks like the homeowners have started to move in as well. And just to finish off the kitchen and alcove area, this is a picture of the alcove area where the cabinetry, the lowers and the uppers have been installed, and they're just waiting for countertops. And a final picture of the alcove area with the countertop installed and all the finishing complete. If we move over to the laundry area, it's nearly complete as well. The cabinetry has been installed, as well as the countertops. In this case, the countertops in the laundry area, which isn't used as much as the kitchen area, is a lower quality laminate countertop. The plumbing fixtures, the plumbing connections have been made, and the last few bits of finishing needed here are the window trim, as well as the ceiling fixture. And one last slide of the laundry room with all of the finishing complete. Another part of the house that requires some finished millwork is the living room fireplace area. The installation begins with a marble slab placed on the floor, upon which the gas fireplace insert will sit. You can also see the beginning of the millwork or cabinetry around the fireplace also being installed. And you'll notice up on top you'll see outlets for power and for AV, because there'll be a large screen TV that sits on top of the fireplace. In these pictures, we can see that the work on the cabinetry is almost complete. See the surround for the fireplace is completed, as well as the remaining cabinetry here. And the picture on the right, you can see the finished product with all the finishing details complete. And this is the last slide in our finishing series. So things like coat racks would be installed, and anything that's left to be installed would be handled at this point. Now the painters would go around doing any touch-up painting, filling any holes, or repairing any damage that's been done during the construction process to get everything complete and ready for the homeowners to move in.